acknowledge eye contact, something, she'll stop waving the card at you. Okay? Alright, folks. Take your seats. You ready to roll? The camera's good? Yeah. Camera, lights, action. Maniraj, take it away.
Hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Maniraj Jeyaraju. I'm an Interdisciplinary Studies major with a concentration in ethnography. And so I study cultural beliefs and attitudes as they relate to health. Now before I begin, I would like to start off with some acknowledgements. So this is my Pulse Finder team, a group of undergraduate students who are also my friends that engage in a multi-semester effort on Friday evenings to build a game that's right there in front of you. Then I'd like to acknowledge my project advisors, Dr. Charles, Ms. Menard who's in the back, Dr. Charles right here, Dr. Freeland, for their enormous thought, time, and consideration for seeing my project to fruition. And I'm very much grateful for their support. My mentors and UMBC mentors in the Interdisciplinary Studies program have been instrumental to my growth here, and they have been a wonderful support system, so I thank them all. So, I would like to begin my presentation by transitioning to a place hopefully familiar to us all, Port Discovery, Baltimore. At Port Discovery, I was testing questions for our cardiovascular health board game when I heard a young boy tell me that the color of blood in veins is blue. Wait, where did that come from? Right? So I was very interested to know, okay, where did he get that from? Why did he think that way? So this curiosity about where these health-related beliefs came from, sparked my interest to understand cardiovascular health back in my village in India. So, the focus of my presentation will be how the board game works as an anthropological tool. Not necessarily the data that I collected, but I'll be happy to address that in the Q&A. So, how did the game work? What was the game able to accomplish there in the field work? So, I'd like to start off with my methods, my disciplines. My disciplinary grounding are game design and medical anthropology. So, game design is defined as the creation of player experience that with rules that make meaningful interactions. And that's from the citation of Saylor and Zimmerman, who are game designers. And then medical anthropology is concerned with the relationship of health and illness to society and culture. And that's from Dr. Seth Messenger, who is a professor of anthropology on campus. So, from each of these two disciplines, I borrowed methods and content. Okay? So, in terms of game design, I borrowed the MDA framework, which I'll go to later in the presentation. In terms of methods of game design, I borrowed audio and video recording and the game engagement survey. From medical anthropology, I borrowed the explanatory health model and the emic health model. Both speak to a bottoms-up approach to anthropology and to understanding culture. Not dictating from the top down, but really understanding the roots. In terms of methods, I use semi-structured interviews and hypothetical scenarios, which I'll also get to later in the presentation, and field notes. So, before I get to the results, I thought it would be helpful to discuss the journey of creating my game. So I wrote a popular opinion book called The Bloody Story, and it all started off with an idea. Let's use games to teach about cardiovascular disease. After many productive failures, I designed a course and built a team to create a computer game. That was not feasible. And so I went to a 3D game, went to a 2D game, and 5 prototypes later, I went to Pulse Finder's educational game. And then I retooled this educational game to be used in India. And I make a joke about half-baked because what I was doing is a messy integration of my educational game and what I wanted to accomplish for my anthropological goals. And eventually, right before I left this past winter, I created Pulse Finder for Mission India. So how does this game work? So the objective of the game is to complete 3 health-related missions within 15 turns. What does the mission look like? Your father has high blood pressure and he needs medicine. Go to 2 stations on the board where you can get the medicine. You accomplish the medicine. So a few examples of the stations you can go to is pharmacy, grocery store, local hospital, and city hospital. So if you see there's like a little white cards on white slips of paper, those are the different stations on the board. To get to the stations, you answer questions. So scenario code, a sample question the players would have to answer are the doctor tells your older brother that he has high blood pressure. What activities and reasons could have caused it? This is an example of a hypothetical situation, hypothetical scenario suggested by, discussed in Pelto's book. One of the players' submissions was exams. Eventually, these slips will be turned into game tiles players can earn, and these game tiles are used to build paths, the pharmacy, for example. So, what were our fieldwork tasks? First, I received IRB approval to conduct a convenience sample in Tamil Nadu, India, where I'm from, and this past winter, and I conducted 5 groups. In these 5 groups, this example game session consisted of a pre-game questionnaire, 1-hour gameplay, a post-game questionnaire, and a post-game interview. I conducted in 4 school settings, 1 community space, 3 suburban and 2 rural settings. There are 9 total participants, age range between 12 and 16. So this is the bulk of my research. So these were my 4 findings of what my game was able to do. So if you look at this column, aesthetics column, my game was able to build rapport with the participants, elicit individual participant contribution or engagement, contextualize participants' various health roles, and stimulate conversations about health. The MDA framework, which I referenced here earlier, is short for Mechanics, Dynamics, and Aesthetics. It's a serious games framework, which is used to basically provide a way to design games. Mechanics are the game rules themselves. Dynamics are how players interpret the rules. And aesthetics are the end goals. Embedded in this slide is actually an integrative strategy of redefinition. So if you look in bold, I redefine mechanics as game elements, dynamics as game process, and aesthetics as ethnographic outcomes. Why is this important? Mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics are game design specific terminology. And I wanted to be more accessible to people beyond that field, specifically anthropologists, so that it could be useful for their research as well. I'd like to talk about one of these findings, which is elicit individual participant contribution engagement or individual expression. So what are we trying to get at here? Right? There is an anthropological limitation of group studies, which is you have to watch out for people who want to show off and draw shy people out, the leader effect. And this is referenced by Russell Bernard, a notable anthropological methodologist. And so what did? I needed to draw out the shy people in a non-threatening way and have them give consistent contribution throughout the game. So I designed my rules to reflect that. So before group discussions, players write down their answers to each question on a slip of paper, so they have some downtime so they can just focus and contribute their own answer. And players may not discuss, so there's no talking rule. This fosters independent thinking. And remember that older brother high blood pressure question on a previous slide? These were 4 different examples. And that is powerful. I was able to get at 4 different responses from various participants in a non-threatening manner. Before I jump into the interdisciplinarity, I wanted to review my disciplinary aims. So the field of game design there's many subfields, but one of the converging aims that I came up with is game designers are interested in player immersion and engagement, the player experience, right? And medical anthropology methodologists would be interested in collecting qualitative data to answer research questions. This is an example of instrumental interdisciplinarity, in that it's problem-driven. How do you engage adolescents in gameplay by introducing game design? So what happens when you have these different aims? Things get a little shaky. So you have game designers and medical anthropologists on different sides of this tightrope walk, and you basically have conflict in their aims. So how do I advance? Now, advancement was proposed, advanced check and balances is an integrative strategy which is defined as offering different disciplinary perspectives as a checks and balances on one another to get at a problem. And this is by Miller, Boyce, and Mencia in Thinking Across Perspectives and Disciplines. So, how do I advance? I advance through the idea of serious games. So, if you recall on the serious slide, I said, on the previous slide, I said serious games is already within game design. What I realized was, remember how I said game design was too broad? What I realized during my iterative game design process was that advancement already existed within the game design discipline. The subfield of game design is serious games. Serious games is defined as games not created for pure entertainment. And so that's what I used to go forward. So what do I mean by that? So if you think about game designers, game designers would have immersion. They would have the player experience, fun here. But what I did was I placed the anthropological goals, stimulate conversations about health as the end goal. So where does Pulse Finder fit in the present time? So Pulse Finder, so medical anthropology and game design have their serious applications in the research tools. So game design. There's literature that says that game design has been used in education, healthcare, military, and government uses. But what I've done is create an intersection between anthropology and game design. For medical anthropologists, on the medical anthropology side, these are different research tools, and I've introduced the idea of a board game as a research tool. To conclude, there are various. My game was well received, so I'll start by saying that. We engaged players, it built rapport, and allowed for natural probing. In terms of limitation, there was definitely an increased study time, so compared to a traditional interview, which would be maybe 30 minutes to an hour, I would say. This took more than an hour and a half. There's a learning curve associated with the game, so I had to basically guide them through the rules.